Hello, I'm Horace Douty in Lexington, Virginia, coming to you by way of YouTube. And I encourage you, if you like these Thursday history lessons, then go to Horace Douty YouTube, click on subscribe, click on like, and the little bell icon that tells you when the messages are up. And share these history lessons with your family and your friends. And I also will let you know that I wrote these stories, and they are published in a book, History Lessons from a Country Church, 2 volumes, and you can pick them up at Downtown Books or the Bookery in Lexington, or you can get them from Amazon. Horace Douty, History Lessons from a Country Church. Today, the lesson is about John Robinson, from rags to riches. It was 1762 when John Robinson came here from Ireland. He knew how to make a living with his hands. By age 17, John had acquired skill as a weaver, and totally on his own, he'd worked his way from the port of Philadelphia to our frontier here in Virginia in what would later be Rockbridge County, but was then called the Back Parts. Stopping at Red House on the Great Path, John Robinson met the lovely hostess Magdalena, twice widowed after losing first husband John McDowell and second husband Benjamin Borden. Magdalena and her new husband John Bowyer took in the witty Irish weaver, beginning a close, lifelong friendship. When John and Magdalena Bowyer moved to Lexington and built their new mansion on Thornhill, the weaver's cottage was constructed for Robinson in the side yard. It's only a few hundred yards from where I'm sitting right this minute. There he lived and worked, producing strong fabric for any who could afford something better than homespun clothing. And that cottage is standing on the hill right there to this day. He was 23 years of age when the Revolutionary War began. His friend John Bowyer rose to the rank of general during a conflict and doubtless was influential in making Robinson a soldier of Washington, as inscribed on Robinson's monument. Both soldiers survived and returned home to Thornhill on the edge of Lexington. Robinson then made a risky gamble, and he won. He had saved money by thrifty living alone, and now he had a government certificate soldier's pay, which most people consider worthless as a continental. But John Robinson brought up all the certificates he could, paying 10% cash for their face value. And when the government finally redeemed them, John emerged a man of considerable wealth. And so John Robinson, the illiterate young veteran, consulted with John Bowyer, the highly educated and distinguished landowner who controlled Borden's grant via his marriage to the wealthy Magdalena. The consultation ended with Bowyer selling Hart's Bottom to Robinson at a price that seemed scandalously high to all the Rockbridge neighbors. John Robinson kept buying until he owned 800 acres of that bottom land. He bought 57 slaves and began operating what may have been the most impressive plantation in Rockbridge County. Records show that his farming effort hardly paid its way. However, other things did. What proved enormously lucrative was his horse trading and his whiskey making. John was so gifted at judging horses that he became known far and wide as Jockey Robinson. His distillery produced the finest rye whiskey ever seen in Rockbridge County. Although our hero could not read and write, he was extremely committed to education at all levels. When the Ann Smith Academy here in Lexington was facing bankruptcy, Jockey Robinson produced a bankroll and saved the school. He is perhaps most renowned for his support of what is now Washington and Lee University. When the General Assembly of Virginia authorized the establishment of a state university, Robinson made an astonishingly generous offer of support, with the provision that the University of Virginia be located in Lexington. And the trustees of Washington College joined, promising to donate everything they held, and their combined offer far surpassed all other bids throughout the state. And it looked as if the University of Virginia would certainly settle at Lexington. But there was one man, Thomas Jefferson, and he favored Charlottesville. And his one vote trumped every voice and every bid in 1818. And so the University of Virginia is not here in Lexington, but in Charlottesville. Jockey Robinson's generosity did not go unnoticed. Anne Smith Academy elected him as a trustee. He was also quickly placed on the board of trustees of Washington College, an honor normally conferred upon scholars in statesmen. Our illiterate Irish reader was pleased, but he did not attend the meetings. He continued to donate large sums to Lexington schools, especially Washington College. In 1824, Robinson was an invited guest at the laying of the cornerstone for the first building of the present colonnade of Washington and Lee University. He also donated a 15-year-old 50-gallon barrel of superior whiskey for the occasion. Unfortunately, thirsty citizens by the hundreds found out the liquor was there. They made a rush on the open barrel. A riot took place, much to the embarrassment of Robinson and the distinguished orators. A semblance of order was restored only by deliberately upsetting that powerful barrel of whiskey and its costly contents spread upon the grass. Having no family ties, Robinson willed his entire estate to Washington College. It would be valued at millions today. The college sold Hart's Bottom, all 800 acres. We don't call it a bottom anymore. We call it the city of Buena Vista, Virginia. That is Hart's Bottom. John Robinson died in 1826, buried in front of Robinson Hall on the W&L University campus. An impressive monument marks his grave. I encourage you, take your children, show them, tell them about a solitary young man from Ireland who worked his way from rags to riches right here on this soil. Although uneducated himself, he gave everything he owned to make certain that the blessing of education could be provided for others. That is John Robinson.